The following interview contains subjects which the viewer might find distressing or triggering. Viewer discretion is advised. We have been very fortunate to have carried some big UK exclusives, and today we are joined by an actor who has left such an imprint, not only on people's minds and hearts for the bad reasons, but also on social media. And he's an actor who has been in this industry for a while now, and he's gotten something which has definitely sparked a massive conversation in India through his series Chiraiya, which is streaming on JioHotstar. And I'm delighted to absolutely welcome Siddharth Shaw on us today on Filme Shilmy. It's so wonderful to have you, Siddharth, and I'm so glad that we're actually doing this. And thank you for making us your UK exclusive as well. Really honored.
Thank you, Anuj. I'm so happy to finally talk to you. We've been connected for a while, as we were discussing before, but we've never really had a chance to connect and chat. And I'm glad that we're getting to do this with Filmy Shilmy. And just before we start, fun fact trivia: my dad was there studying in UK for
Hmm.
about 8 years. I always wanted to go to UK and settle there for a bit. Had I not wanted to be an actor, I would have probably been in UK and I don't know doing what, because Papa's from there. Like he went for masters, undergraduation and masters, and then he worked there from 90 to 97. He was in London, and then he got back to India, and that's when he got married, and then I came. But I've always wanted to be in UK and work in UK. In fact, I aspire to shoot some film in UK, man. I love London.
Lovely. Well, no, it's wonderful. And it's great to have you with us, though virtually. But yeah, definitely you are kind of in the UK through the virtual medium. So it's wonderful to
Yes,
kind of
yes, yes.
see that. Well,
The
look, I think let's talk about Shashant Shah's directorial, this series that has been literally the talk of the town recently, and that is of course Chiraiya. Um, I've seen the show, and I must say, I have not felt this uncomfortable for a while. And it was, I think heavy is the only way to describe it. It was extremely heavy, um, but also very important to spark the conversations that it, kind of entails in the series. But as discomforting and as heavy it is for us as audiences, for you, because you're playing a character who basically forces his wife every day for sex. And it's a very dark character. Even बोलने में मैं कतराता हूँ तो उसको निभाने
yes, आप
में,
झिझकते हैं एक बार ऐसी चीज बोलने से.
you literally you stutter because it's so ghastly. So for you as an actor to really get your head into that role, I mean, Siddharth, I wanna know the process. I wanna know exactly your internal emotions as well whilst, you know, undertaking that role.
No, first things first, Anuj. It's all thanks to Shashant sir. It is the way he's treated the film and the way sir has given time and extracted performances from every actor in the series and bringing that ensemble together and tell the story the way he's told it is truly commendable. It's hats off, and I feel privileged and rather lucky and blessed that I've gotten to do something like with this with sir, because when you are on set with a director like sir, he lets you deep dive into the character's psyche, and then he would see one rehearsal, he would see two rehearsals, and then he would come and tweak something if he wants to. Otherwise, he would let that be. He would let the actor be. He would give him that space to come up with something. Is something which I love from the very get go, from the first day that we met sir. After the first round of auditions, I had this meeting with sir where I met sir in person, and when I met him, all throughout we were just discussing how patriarchy has always been on the forefront in India, and how we're still a patriarchal state, and how everybody is in a way a byproduct of patriarchy in India, because unfortunately that is the story of almost every second household in India. So we are all byproducts of patriarchy, and our conversation started from that to the space where we started wanting to draw parallels from my real life to Arun, and what are those similar spaces where I can be using that. So this is where I'd be delving into the process as to how I started prepping for Arun, because it was not easy. Like my first read, when I first got the script after meeting Sir, I read it to my mother, and while I was reading it to her, I saw my reaction. I had goosebumps. I saw my mom's reaction. We were silent for about 10, 20 minutes. Then I reread it without having a discussion. Again, the same reaction. And I was sold by that time. I was like, boss, we need to tell this story. So that from that very moment, we were like, in whatever capacity I get to play this, but we are going to voice this story because this is so important to be voiced. And that is when I started going ahead and see, I'm not a guy like that. I'm completely not like the way Arun is in real
Yeah, you
life.
better not be Siddharth.
Yeah, precisely. Otherwise, I should be like, I don't know. I shouldn't be allowed to exist on planet Earth if I'm somebody
Absolutely.
like that. So for me to be able to do something like that, Anuj, then it becomes a task because I have to set aside my moral conscience to go ahead and do this. So in that space, what I did was I started drawing parallels. As I was talking about patriarchy, and we're all byproducts of patriarchy. So there were certain things, where you would always, as a kid growing up, this isn't the case of my household, but I've heard stories of my friends where you want to go for a trip, you want to go somewhere, and everybody is like, "मैं पापा से पूछ के बताता हूँ, मैं पापा से पूछ के बताता हूँ." And it'll be the case where you'll have to go to the man of the house to ask for things, to seek permission to do stuff. So this is the diaspora in which we are living in India right now, where it is still a patriarchy. And this is my childhood growing up. So I was like, I dichotomized the act itself, rape, and I was like, what is it? Is it just a chul to go ahead and have sex? You can go ahead and pay for sex and have sex, then you can use prostitution if that is the key. No, this wasn't the case with Arun here. I then not Arun, but rape per se. If you go ahead and break down rape, the the essence from which I can understand personally, Anuj, is abuse of power. You going against somebody's will to enforce yourself on that person. So I was like, dude, abuse of power is a beautiful parallel because there have been so many times in life where you could have been on either sides of that table, where you've either been a victim or a predator at the space of abusing power.
Mm,
So I'm not saying that you go ahead and rape somebody to do something like this. Of course not. But there have been times where you have been privy to abuse of power, right?
of
I
course.
come from a boarding. I had seniors, I had juniors. And there were times where unknowingly I might have done something which would have affected somebody's psyche in that space. There would be times where I have been in certain spaces where I felt like a victim of abuse of power, where I'm not able to say anything to my seniors. So in that space, what then happens is I drew parallels from that to this. And if I can be really honest, I feel Arun somewhere, you've seen the show, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Arun is in love with Pooja, man, in my head. For me, Arun is madly in love with Pooja. He just doesn't know what he's doing is right or wrong. I mean, he's that oblivious to the fact where he doesn't know what he's doing is wrong. He's entitled to that extent where he doesn't really know that this is the way to go about it. Because here, let's break it down. If you're in India, let's break it down from my perspective. When
Mm,
I was growing up, I'm 27 years of age today. When I was growing up, and the first few times when we were about to get into a consummate position with a girl, what was my source of information? We didn't have any sex ed while I was growing up. I didn't get any sexual education. So I didn't know I didn't know how the act is done. So how
mm,
do I get to know of the act? We go to these sites which are banned in India now and we
mm.
look at content there and then we go ahead and try to replicate that content in real life. So for me, as a layman, as a young teenager, for me to go ahead and understand sex in the first place is through that. That is my source of information. Now, if my source of information is only so graphic and is so, I don't know, dominating, it's ridiculous the way they shoot that kind of content. We
Aggressive.
all know
Yeah,
what I'm talking about,
yeah.
right? So the point being here, Arun is also a guy who doesn't know what he's supposed to do. So where does he get this source of information? There. And he's trying to do all of that he's seen in those videos to his wife.
Mm,
Where if she says no in those videos, he means that no. The no to means yes, she's asking for more. She wants me to be in that BDSM space or whatever. So you get the psyche where I'm trying to break down Arun's psyche here.
of course.
Like,
Yeah.
why the hell is this guy like this? So that was one point. Then there came a point where we as a patriarchy, as we were saying, and we've shown in the series as well, where he's built up to that level since childhood there is this beautiful line with Divya ma'am and Kamlesh's character where they're dancing at this
Ah,
Sangeet. And
correct.
then young Arun is like, oh, why did you stop? And then Kamlesh goes like, no, we are ladki wale. Abhi hum nahi kar sakte. So he's like, when we dance fully, then जब हम लड़के वाले बनेंगे हम तब करेंगे. Or when
Mm.
Prathama is born, it's Pratham, and then it becomes Prathama Pinky. That हमें तो लड़का चाहिए था, then लड़की हुई है. So there are different instances in which it is put out as, no, you're a man, you're a young man, so that means you can do anything. So she has only in a way put it in him and installed it in it that he can go ahead and do anything when he's a man. So in a way, it is the society to be blamed. In a way, it is this source of information which he is getting to be blamed. And therefore he does all of this. Otherwise, why would he? In my head, I think Arun is in love with Pooja. He madly loves his wife and he doesn't know what he's doing is wrong. So, if I can break it down, that was my approach to Arun. I never approached it as this villain per se, where he's like, hey, and all of that. He's not that
Yeah.
grotesque kind of a guy, but
Mm.
what he is even more dangerous. Like, you committing a crime, knowing that you're committing a crime is one thing, but you unknowingly, in your ambiguity, going ahead and creating this heinous sin time and again, day in, day out, when your wife is trying to voice you and say that, hey, bro, we can be friends, we can start up again, take a clean slate. But this guy doesn't want to stop. He's still there. So
Yeah.
that was my approach.
Wow. I mean, thank you so much for delving into that. And I think you've really hit the nail on the head there. I think what the character that we're seeing is literally a product of conditioning of what we like
Yes.
to call. And I think it really does spotlight that. And honestly, I think it literally feels like a sledgehammer. Each episode feels like a sledgehammer because actually, ironically, it's not delving into darker color schemes or, the lighting is it's very bright. The frames are very
Yeah.
bright. It's very easy to watch in that sense. But that that's exactly the irony of the way
Yeah.
the series is crafted. It is light and visually it's very beautiful to watch, like the color schemes, it's very vibrant colors, but yet
Yeah.
it's so dark in its essence, you know and perhaps that was intentional as well by the creators to kind of make it a bit more palatable rather than
Yes.
necessarily just making it into something that's very, very, very serious, because it is a dark subject. And as
It is.
if we're feeling like that just by watching, despite its colorful and bright treatment, then अगर वो dark होता, उसकी framing or color schemes,
Yeah.
then I don't know how we would have felt as viewers watching it. Do you know what I mean to say?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know
And
if you
that's
want.
this is the first. We've been doing interviews, Anush, but nobody's ever pointed this out. So thank you for pointing this out, that we consciously made a decision where Shubhankar Dara, DOP, is a fantastic DOP who framed the film like this, where there are these bright popping colors and the subject which you're talking about, it's like a dichotomy in reality, where you're
Exactly.
going ahead and talking about dark stuff at the same time dark acts are taking place, yet everybody's so vibrant and poppy. Like the Swagrat instance is intercut. The treatment of the film, since the writing is such,
In the
my
series, yeah.
Devar is the
Mm,
amazing Angrezi Devar
mm,
Rani. There's
mm,
this whole cute dance which Divya Ma'am is doing, and there's this horrific act which is going on in the bedroom with the husband and wife. So since the get-go of writing, we had all of this written down that this is how the treatment of the film is going to be. So
mm.
hats off to Divinity Sharma sir as well to go ahead and write something like that since the very inception of this concept, that how are we going to treat it.
Hmm. And I think it's interesting how it was in a series format as well, actually, rather than just a
Hmm.
film, because I feel like each episode, in a way, it kind of opened up like a can of worms, basically of what each character has gone through. And I think, you were talking about how at some point we've all been privy to abuse of power or
Yeah.
someone's psyche being badly affected by someone bullying, essentially, as a base level. And I think what this also voices as well, it also voices a sense of redemption, I think, for
Yes.
those who are enablers, and I think Divya Datta's character, Kamlesh, in this is powerful, but at the same time she's deeply flawed as well.
Yes.
And
That's the beauty of it.
that's what I like about it as well, is that it's accepting both those aspects. It's not a typical character that's just like sloganeering for empowerment or trying to crusade for social change, but it's in a way voicing where she went wrong and accountability, which is very rare,
Yeah.
I think, in such cases, isn't it? And I think that's what I would love to explore actually, is I think because we've touched upon the the color schemes and all of that. I think that would be really good to delve into for you as an artist, how
Yes,
that impacted you, and also the fact that it's got this voice about redemption and accountability as well. So if we can delve into these two things, that would be wonderful.
it is all thanks to Mr. Divinity Sharma. His writing is such where the characters are layered, where it is not if she's the lead of the film and she's the hero of the film here, if I can put it in old terms, then this is not this perfect man hero. This is not this perfect heroine who's got it all right. This is this human who is flawed. This is this human who really doesn't understand what is right and what is wrong. But when she does understand what is right, she will fight and she'll fight till her death for that. So that is the space which he has created from the writing, from the very get-go. So it is all and all thanks to Divinity Sharma sir to write a character. In fact, all the characters per se are such where they're layered. Like if Arun is wrong, he's not fully wrong also because he doesn't know only what he's doing. If Kamlesh is fighting against wrong, she is also initially supporting her own brother-in-law because she feels that he can't do no wrong because she has brought him up. So how can he be wrong? If he's wrong, then she's wrong. So she blames herself to be wrong also. So all of this is all there in the material. We have been really fortunate that we have gotten to play a script like this. We've gotten to make a script like this. And hats off to SVF also, man, for going ahead and this is the remake of Sampurna, which is the original in Bengali and Hoichoi. And dude, it's hats off for them to recreate this in Hindi because Hindi has a larger audience, yes. So we can go ahead and tell this story and reach out to many more people. So if I can go ahead and come to layering in characters, especially Kamlesh and Arun per se, or let's say Sanjay sir's character as well, my father's character. He is Mr. Right, Mr. Noble for the world. But when it comes to his own family, he won't
Mhm.
send his own son to jail. So these are the dilemmas which we are fighting daily. This is the hypocrisy which we deal with on a daily basis, where we are going ahead and wanting to be all solid in front of the world, but we have this constant dilemma when it comes to ourselves. Are we the same when it comes to us? Like Pooja can fight for others and be standing at LGBTQ rallies, but when she is being done wrong, she can't voice herself. She's broken, she's shattered. She can fight for others, but she can't fight for herself. So all of this stems from the writing, Arun. And I feel, Anuj, that we have been blessed to be a part of this writing. The I think every character here is redeeming themselves in some way or the other. Like there is a whole, as you rightly pointed, an arc in which everybody has been put in space where they are accountable and guilty and responsible to what they've been doing. Like for instance, Vinay Bhaiya also. He starts off at this, मैं हीरो का हीरो नहीं बन सका लेकिन हीरो का पति बन सकता हूँ. I can go ahead and be your
हाँ हाँ
pillar.
हाँ हाँ हाँ
Yeah.
हाँ.
So there is this one monologue which he has at the climax where he says that I've been seeing all of these things which have been happening to Arun and I never voiced it. So just because I'm seeing them and I'm against them does not mean that I'm not guilty. I'm also guilty because I didn't make a voice for it then. I didn't raise my voice then. I didn't stop him from going into this wrong direction. As an elder brother, I could have stopped him. I should have stopped him. Did I? No. So there is this whole accountability which comes on his side as well, where that he is also responsible as an elder brother for his brother's doings. So there are these arcs which have been conspicuously put down in the
Mm.
writing and very beautifully then treated by Shashant sir to get that on screen and show it to people that yes, because see, a lot of times, more often than not, when you've written something so beautifully, it's practically impossible to fail when it comes out. But it is like a one in a gazillion time when you've written something so beautifully wouldn't work on screen. And when you get a director like Mr. Shashant Shah, he too will then pick that material up and turn gold out of gold. I mean, there is gold, and now he's made this beautiful jewelry set of that gold necklace that he's made, where there are all sorts of rubies, diamonds, which have been instilled in that as performances, and put it out like that. So I think it's all from the writing and the treatment which has been given to us, where all these arcs have been beautifully written, and then beautifully presented.
Right. No, absolutely. And I think also we've got to give give a lot of credit as well to Prasanna as well.
Oh
Prasanna,
yes,
who played Pooja in this, and honestly, her performance was incredible. I mean, of course, we've appreciate Divya Dutta, and of course, what a great cast! You've got Faisal Rashid, you've got Tinu Anand, you've got Sarita Joshi ji, Sanjay
Tinu sir
Mishra.
and I are from the same school.
I mean, how crazy! I mean, what a
Yeah, we worked on the same project. We like
wow.
we never met, but we happen to be sharing the same alma mater.
That's so incredible. But I think it's just honestly, I just think it's just so remarkable to see such brilliant talents come together
Yeah.
for this series. And I think for me, my highlight in this series is when uh Sarita Joshi ji, who plays the Dadi,
Grandmother, Dadi, yeah.
and when she's having that conversation with Kamlesh and Pooja. And
Hmm.
that conversation for me was now that is for me that's a highlight I think of the series
That's
because
my favorite line of the show. तुम्हें परिवार के नाम पे प्यार के नाम पे व्यवस्थित तरीके से big बनाया गया है. I'm
just
like bang on
and
man.
it's
Too
quite
good.
interesting as well because we had Farida G drop the C bomb in No Romeo and now we've got Siddharth. So it's quite interesting how
Yeah, yeah,
like the
yeah, yeah,
old
yeah, yeah.
generations like of our actors and the legends are also kind of
Yeah.
adapting to today's
Yes.
kind of language and grammar of cinema. But no, I mean just that's aside. But I think what it really showed me was the generational conversation and trying to change that conditioning, and
Yes.
also showing how the elder generation as well is understanding what is wrong and having a stand is important. And I love that. But I'll tell you what really haunts me though is the final line that Pooja says in this series. She's like, until marital rape becomes an actual law, passes as
Mm.
a proper law in India,
Mm.
that's when I'm going to come after you.
Yeah.
And that is very haunting because it
Mm.
means, there's still people or survivors who are still waiting for justice for
True.
for a statue that doesn't even exist or recognize their pain. And that for me is terrifying because I mean I've seen so many, even people who are higher ups in policies and lawmaking. I've seen clips of it online where people are mocking such ghastly acts and laughing at them.
Mm.
And it terrifies me because it's like, what sort of a world are we actually living in? And it really does spotlight that a little bit. But do you think that, see, because I think there's been a lot of conversation about, marital rape becoming a law in India and, being
Yes.
classed as an actual statute. Do you think that this will now solidify that conversation even? I mean, उस conversation के आगे क्या हो सकता है आपके हिसाब से? Because the problem is that art, even, I mean, the great thing is that art can do this. It can champion
Yeah.
conversation. But उसके आगे क्या? What can
So
actually be done?
you very rightly put out, Anuj, that art can champion conversations. And that was our goal when we were making this series, that we start a discourse in society in India where people are at least not afraid of talking about it. Like you were saying initially, कि झिझकते हैं एक बार, अकराते हैं ये शब्द लेने से पहले भी, मैरिटल रेप बोलने से पहले भी आप दो बार सोचते हो कि ये क्या बोल रहे हो. So our intent while making the show, we came up with this simple goal to start discourse. Us as artists, us as movie makers, filmmakers, I feel that is what we can do best. And I think we have successfully landed ourselves in this space where this discourse has started, where people are going and talking about this, where people are going ahead and voicing their stories, which I feel is a success story. Where if somebody can come up and say that, hey, it wasn't marital rape, but I was dating somebody and my boyfriend used to go ahead and convince me to get into some physical intimacy when I was not feeling like it, is actually championing other people's stories. So if we can strengthen them like that, and they can come across and then this discourse is started, I feel that we are in a good space. However, coming to the space of law and whether or not there should be a law and should there be a law and how can we make one, is I think something for the policymakers to also go ahead and watch this series and then come to a space of taking some action on it, because that's what we want, right? We can only request them, we can humbly request them to go ahead and do something with it, which we've tried to do with our series. We've started this discourse, we've started this discussion. Now it is in the ball is in your court. Please please go ahead and take some action on this act is
Yeah.
a sincere and humble request. That is all we can do. Because
Right.
see, we're not policymakers here. We're artists. We voice stories. And I feel that is the beauty of a democracy, where you can get to voice whatever ill doings or wrongdoings have been happening in society for so long. That is what Mr. Manto did back in the day.
Mm.
He wrote
Mm.
stories with so much katach, so much satire, and they were all real. Those were household stories of India back then.
Right.
So in today's Bharat, if this is the status quo, we can only as tell stories as artists and would request policymakers to act on it.
No, beautifully said. And I think, quite literally the ball is in their in the court,
Yeah.
really. And I agree with you on that. But I think what Chiraiya also does,
No,
it's
but sorry, Anuj,
yeah,
before we move ahead, I
yeah,
really wanted to thank Prasanna here because you mentioned Prasanna.
yeah, yeah,
And Prasanna and I, we've been working together since 5 years now. We know each other since 5 years. We did a film called Boxy, which is running now in the International Film Festival in Delhi, which gets over today. And I just come to Delhi for that. We are screening it here, and hopefully it will be out soon. So I've known Prasanna for the last 4 5 years now. Then we worked on Chiraiya, and now it's just beautiful for the both of us to be in this space where we are experiencing so much love and hate in this space. So it's really nice, and I'm blessed, I think, to work with fresh and new actors like us. We get to work together, so our craft also goes ahead a notch higher, and we really enjoy working with each other like that. So at least I can say for myself that I really enjoy working with her. So I have a lot of fun working with her, even though we were doing something so gruesome and serious like this. So I had a gala, and it's only
yeah.
thanks to her that I could do all of these intimacy sequences with this in this kind of a space in a rape setting, because it's
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 difficult.
tough.
It's not easy. I think for you as the antagonist in that situation, and for her as a survivor, I mean, for her it must be even more difficult actually, if I'm honest,
Yes.
because I mean, I don't want to get into it too much because it is very disturbing, but
Hmm.
I think for her to, even as an actor, right, even though it's not real, but you become so, I'm sure, emotionally so invested in that sequence that yeah, I can't even imagine. And honestly, I'm getting quite disturbed by the nature of that conversation. I don't even want to even, I can't even imagine it, to be honest. It just is.
But can I just say one thing?
Yeah.
It was Uno reverse in this situation.
Hmm.
So in this situation, I had taken so much anxiety and stress where I was limping for 6 months. I used to have physiotherapy while shooting in the morning before shooting and evening because of the intimate sequences. Because वो बात का बतंगड़ बनाना नहीं कहते. I
Hmm.
had taken so much stress that मैंने वो intimacy shoot करने का बतंगड़ बना दिया था.
Hmm.
So rather when we got to workshops and with the intimacy coordinator Kanak and director, we realized that, boss, this is the person who's shitting bricks here.
Hmm.
And Prasada used to be rather the person who's like, no, no, it's all right, it's okay. We can do this, we can do that. And I, like, after the first time we shot Swagrat, I started crying. When I was doing honeymoon, I got a panic attack. I stopped breathing. It took a toll on me. Like, personally,
Can you
it
imagine?
was maddening. And not to say that it was not easy for her, but I think it became easy for the both of us because the both of us we knew of each other as well.
Yeah,
So we were
exactly.
in a comfortable space to go ahead and shoot something like this.
Hmm. 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 Hmm.
And
No,
it was not and it was first time intimacy for both of us. No, it's not that we would have shot intimacy before. And this is not a love making sequence, huh?
it's not. It's not.
Yeah, so
Exactly.
it becomes. But however, all said and done, there's a great learning experience that now I'm not scared to shoot intimacy anymore. Like
Yeah.
I shot for Amar Vishwas, and we had a love making sequence there, and I was comfortable with it. It's just that that ice needs to be broken once. Once that's happened, then it's a piece of cake. You realize it's like dancing. It's choreography. One, two,
Choreography.
three, four,
Yeah.
mechanical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's the thing. And I think this is what's really important to hear is intimacy is one thing, but shooting an assault scene, a harassment scene is a
Yes.
very different thing. And I think you need to make sure we have that distinction there because yes, of course, it is something that is where you're physically in the proximity of another, but it's the context matters here. And like you said, it is very disturbing. And I wanted to step away from that now because I think it is
Yeah.
very heavy. And I think it's starting to take a toll on me as well now. So right, moving on. But what I think Chiraiya does as a series is that it kind of spotlights the industry and the sort of stories we are seeing now.
Yeah.
We had Assi, Anubhav Sinha's Assi, which was a phenomenal film.
Yeah.
You had that film. You've also had Mardani 3.
Mm.
There's been so many other films and stories that have come out, which is
Oh, Mrs.
Mrs. Of course,
Right, right. The Great
Huck,
Indian
Huck,
Kitchen back
Huck.
there. Huck, of course,
You've
Huck.
got Huck as well.
Yeah, Talak, Talak, Talak. Yeah, 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 of
Yeah,
course.
so there's been so many series and films and that are really championing women, sort of rising up and taking a stance, a firm stance. I think we saw this a bit in 2023, but now it's solidifying. The voices have
Yeah.
become a lot more voice for us. They are not stopping. They are literally taking a firm stance.
They become
And
fierce.
they've become really fierce. And I think it's
Yeah,
really empowering to see that as well at the same time.
yeah.
Do you think that these stories, I mean, just wanted to get your opinion on the whole trend, not trend, but the sort of trajectory and the stories that we are seeing. Do you think it is this low level now of tolerance for such atrocities that's kind of provoked and evoked such a conversation happening in stories?
I would like to say, Anuj, it's actually not a coincidence. I've always seen cinema as a reflection of society. How, as a society and how, as mankind, are we evolving as Indians here? So, if you see the graph of the way films have changed over time, from the 2000s to the 2010s to the 2015s to 2020 to now, where we are in 25, 26, where the kind of stories have completely, the narrative has changed. And the narrative is changing only because the thinking of society is slowly, gradually, eventually changing and developing. The sides are turning. Yes, it is at a different speed, but it is changing. Therefore, we are having these stories come in front. And therefore, we are having a wider reception of these stories, and people are more open to these stories because they want to listen to these stories. They want these stories to be voiced. So I feel that as society is progressing, as we are going forward and moving ahead, we are being able to tell such kind of stories. And it is rather integral that we do, since we are a mirror reflection of society. We only create what happens in real life on celluloid, right? So I'm just as an artist, as a movie person, my take here is that we are representing whatever wrongdoings are happening. We are representing whatever right is there in our society, and then it is up for you to take it on from there. Have a discussion, have a discourse, make some laws, do some policy work around it, spread some awareness. So we are just like a mirror.
Hmm. It's interesting, and I love the fact that we're seeing such stories as well. Like, I
Yeah.
think Huck and Mrs. honestly were two big tentpole films of last year, and
Yes.
it's really great to see a series like Chiraiya now. Like I said, Mardani 3 earlier, Assi as well for that same reason. So in a way, I'm glad that we're seeing these stories, and I think it's a very big welcome change. I think for Indian cinema, and I'm glad that that is definitely really happening. But I tell you what, though, Siddharth, and I think what often happens with actors who do remarkable work is that not only do they get loved and appreciated for the work that they do, but then they also become privy to, getting typecast or, getting
True.
some sort of um boxed in. Because for some reason, अगर आप कोई ऐसा काम करते हो जो कमाल का है, कोई कमाल का काम है, then what happens is that you tend to get offered roles that are in a similar vein,
Yes,
or
yes, yes.
in a way mirroring that same role as well. And I think for you, as an actor, how conscious will you be now going forward of choosing projects or doing work that is not necessarily a copy and paste of what Arun in Chiraiya?
Mm. I know it's very rightly put, brother, where people want to see the same image of you of what they've seen in the last film. But then that is your challenge as an actor to go ahead and surprise them and shock them with new sorts of roles. However, having said that, I've always been hungry for good content. If you would have seen my choices as a filmography, as a leading man, it started with Do Gubbare as Rohit being this epitome of green flag. If I'm wearing green as well, green is great. And He was the Mr. Right, feel good, coming of age. He was like all the right things to do, all the right things to say, like the perfect man should be. To which I said, I want to go ahead and do something and challenge myself as an actor and see if I am also capable of doing something which is completely bang opposite and is layered in grace. So I picked up Arun. Now, tomorrow, my challenge is going to be to go ahead and break this image of Arun and come across as this completely new human and see if people would buy me as that as well, because that is my task and challenge as an actor. And having said that, if since we're talking about typecasting here, I think precedence has always been set. When your intent is right, you can go ahead and change the narrative because your craft is key then. And I am a solid and firm believer of hard work, where I've put in time, effort, energy, blood, sweat into my craft. Therefore, I'm able to do the kind of work that I'm doing. So, precedence is already set. The legendary Mr. Shah Rukh Khan started off in Bollywood as Kiran in Dar. He's a murderer there. And look at the man today and look at the work he's been doing today. I'm only 27 and I have more years than my age in this career to myself to change the narrative for myself. So if he can be starting there and today at 60s, he's doing a king now and a Jawar and a Patan and he's the OG romance king. So narratives can change. People have been accustomed to precedence has been set when narratives have changed. So I also believe that my narrative is going to be changing. In fact, I'm really happy that people have finally started recognizing me now. Like with time, I realized that the more work which I'm now getting into, I'm consciously making a choice to be away from a similar zone. Yes, if there is a story which is interesting enough in a similar space and on the same lines, in the same grace as Arun, I don't mind playing that. But the story needs to be interesting. I'm hungry for a good story. If the story is good, great, I'll do it. If it's not, then I'll just not do it for the heck of doing it.
Right, no, rightly said. And I think it's interesting that you said that as well, like in your journey so far. I mean, just to without it delving into a complete backstory, but you kind of your roots are in theatre. You're born in
Yeah.
Lucknow, you went to Delhi, you did some theatre there. Then obviously you've done your first film, right? Was with Imtiaz Ali for Love Aaj
Yes,
Kal,
yes,
where you
yes.
played Kartik Aryan's friend in that.
Yeah.
So it's interesting how your journey has kind of gone through this very interesting mode. It's been a very interesting trajectory for you. It's been you've
Yeah.
had that traction with the mainstream, but then at the same time, you've kind of had to pave your own way as well independently.
Yes.
Um, so I think for you, without it trying to be like a big struggle story or a big sob story per se, but I think for you as an actor, because even though sometimes plans don't go as what we expect, but how
Yeah.
have you kind of made peace with that and made the best of the resources available and the opportunities available to you?
I think it's by being neutral, Anuj. It's about letting things take its own due course, and that's the flow. I mean, no matter how hard you try to go ahead and get something, if it's meant to happen, it'll happen. If it's not meant to happen, it'll not happen. And if it's not happening, Mr. Bachchan said this once, where if you really want something and it's not working out for you in that specific space, it is because some higher energy is looking over you and is not letting that happen. That means there is a better space, a better opportunity waiting for you, and that is the Almighty's will. So you embrace it with open arms and be open to change and let things take its own course of nature. Having said that, it doesn't mean that you become lackadaisic and sit at home and feel like, oh, just because things are going to happen by themselves, that means I will let nature take its own course and I will just sit in this boat and things will float automatically. No, you have to go ahead and you have to pedal. You have to go ahead and do the grind. You have to go ahead and put in the hard work, the blood, the sweat. But having said that, I've always been content has been like the key driver for me. So I've always been hungry for interesting stories, stories that haven't been voiced before, interesting characters, characters that people have forgotten, characters that are close to us and we don't even know how shady or slimy they might be, or
Mhm.
characters who are in our close vicinity and we wouldn't know uh, their good side. So I've always been intrigued by such spaces. And as far as I feel my heart is in the right place to tell the right kind of stories, I think God is very kind like that. He will be there to support me and push me in every way possible. So I
Right.
think it has been a divine intervention where I've had this filmography where things have worked, and those things that haven't worked have made me sit down in this chair at this pedestal today where I am. And I'm just lucky and honored and blessed to be in this space.
Hmm. Absolutely. I mean, you know, I think versatility can be a blessing and a curse at the same time because I feel like whilst it's incredible, the floodgates have opened and, you know, we are seeing lots of talents, good talents, you know, getting their dues, getting a platform,
Yeah.
even older talents that, for example, who have worked tremendously, you know, in their careers, but are now suddenly getting fruition. I mean, you know, like a film like Dhurandhar, for example, you know,
Yeah.
providing such a great character for legends like Rakesh Bedi sir, you know,
Yeah.
for instance, you know, it's good to see the floodgates really opened and
Yeah.
to see that. But at the same time, you know, when a place is very messy and crowdy, for you as an individual, for your voice as a creative to be heard, can also then become equally very difficult. Sid, what is your voice as an actor? What would you say it kind of stands out about you from the rest? And obviously, you being Siddharth Shaw itself is a USP, of course it is. But what do you think is that voice within you as an artist that really makes you feel like this is something that's mine? You know, no one can take that away from me.
Wow, I've never been asked this. This is pretty intriguing. I think I know it is this crave, this is this hunger to beat myself. Like there is this urgent, I don't know, there's this feeling, there's this irk in me to be better than my last job, to beat myself from the last possible frame I've seen in. So when I have these blinds on where I am a golfer, and when we are playing golf, it's been taught that you never play against the four ball, but you're playing against the course. If you have to wrap the course up in 72, it's a par 72. You wrap it up in 70, 68. If you've wrapped it up in 68 last time, you try wrapping it up in 62, 66 this time. So I am up against myself is something which uh, keeps me away from the lot where everybody is just trying to, like, there was this beautiful time back in the film industry where people would champion each other, people would support each other, they would go for each other's screenings, they would have these great galas together where everybody would celebrate cinema. But that has been unfortunately slowly dying in the recent times, in the last 2 decades or so per se. And I would feel when everybody is up against each other in their own, I don't know, world, which is a world which I'm also a part of, I feel the one differentiating factor is that I am up against myself. I'm up against my previous self. I'm up against Arun. And Arun was up against Rohit. And Rohit was up against Rathor. So that's how my chain will keep going up. And I will keep beating myself and keep going higher because I'm not competing with the rut here.
That's a good. I think that's a really, really good answer and very well thought of. No, but sounds really exciting though. I think Siddharth, because obviously, Chiraiya has been a breakthrough for you. You know, like I said before during this interview, like I genuinely hated your character so much. Like after a long time, I found a character who I genuinely wanted to bury 6 feet under because literally he was such a vile character. And जाने या अनजाने में जो उसने एक्ट किए हैं
Yeah.
घिनौने किए हैं ठीक है एंड द थिंग इज वो बंदा था ही उसके लायक एंड
Mm.
it was very well played by you because if someone compliments you and says that they hated you and you're playing an
Yeah.
antagonist that means you've done your part really well.
Yeah.
um so now that you've done that and obviously the floodgates have opened even more now, people are now talking about the show and your character as well. uh what do you think now is something that will push the barrier for you as an actor, like a certain characteristic or a role that you think will basically satisfy your inner creative?
I really want to. I'm working to do a rom com now. I want to be this romantic hero who's lip syncing and is this funny film because see, there's this whole quirky side to me. There is this whole chill dude side which I have, which I've never been really able to showcase in films which I've been getting.
Hmm.
There was this goody good boy, then this baddie bad guy, and then So I'm like, the real me also needs to come out in some space in cinema, right? So I really want to show that side of me and see what people have to say of that side. Because I've grown up watching rom-coms and I'm a hardcore rom-com lover. Like my mom and I, we just sit through and we've literally watched all of like Romedy Now movies back in the day to now we surf on the internet and we find rom-coms. Like there'll be hardly rom-coms which I can pinpoint which I haven't seen. Like I've literally covered so much. So I'm really irking to make a nice rom-com where I want people to feel alive, a lighter zone, and see me in this new space. So I'm really, really wanting to do something which, see, it'll be completely different from Arun, and it'll be something new. It'll not be. It'll be something which has been forgotten actually. Like rom-coms are not being made anymore. Like since action has come in,
Mm.
only an intense romantic film like Sayyara did well in the recent times. But apart from that, there are like horror comedies coming in, actions come back. There is no the whole genre.
Even comedy as a genre is
Yeah,
dying, literally.
no, but people are trying comedy. It's not that they're not trying. There have been a lot of ensemble films which have been coming since the last 5 years, is what I've been seeing. But unfortunately, I don't know what's been happening. Like the beauty of comedies which were there back in our childhood, like a Dhamal or a Welcome
Yeah,
or a Golmaal, and stuff like that used to be like when it first came, it was so fresh. I was like, what is going on?
exactly.
So I don't know what's up, man. Like we need to up our game in the comedy and the romantic space. Like a rom com space is the space where I am headed next. I want to be there.
Oh,
In fact, I
nice.
want to do all of that Bollywood shenanigan, man. Like I want to go to Kashmir, have a nice lip sync song. I want to do the works.
Lovely. Well, I hope that happens for you. But I think, yeah, definitely really, really true. I hope that comedy does come back. I mean, we've had a really lovely film earlier this year called One Two Cha Cha Cha, which was such a good, sort of film. It's a
Mm,
comedy movie which with Ashutosh Rana and some brilliant,
mm,
brilliant actors as well. Like, and it kind of brought back that flavor from the 2000s. And it was actually a really fun
mm.
film. And I
Yeah,
just wish that we could see more films like that, and
yeah,
I really hope it does come back. But no, I think honestly, Shazad, this has been such a pleasure to have you. Honestly, thank you so much for coming and joining us on Filmy Show Me and allowing us to be your first UK exclusive interview as
yeah, yeah.
well.
Thank you for having me, Anuj. Finally, I'm glad that we've interacted. And hopefully, we'll do an in person when we are shooting in UK. Hopefully,
Yeah.
soon.
Definitely, no, for sure. But congratulations on Chiraiya to you and the entire team. I think to all the survivors out there who are still silently resilient and hoping for justice to come one day. So
Yes.
it's a big tribute to them as well. So thank you so much for this incredible series. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Anuj.